Right now, in Australia, you can walk into a Toyota dealership and drive away in a brand new, indestructible work truck for the equivalent of $15,000. It has manual windows, a simple diesel engine, and a mechanical transfer case that will probably outlast you. But if you try to bring that exact affordable truck into the United States, you will be stopped at the border. It is federally illegal. The vehicles the government is actively keeping off American roads are the Toyota 70 Series Land Cruiser and the Toyota Hilux. These are bare-bones analog survival rigs. The United Nations deploys them in active war zones specifically because they can be fixed in a dirt field using basic hand tools. And around the world, they sell straight off the lot for under $20,000. Meanwhile, the average transaction price for a new domestic pickup in the US has rocketed past $60,000, with fully loaded models easily breaking $80,000. If demand for cheap, reliable trucks is so high, Toyota would gladly sell the Hilux here. They can't. There is a 60-year-old covert law keeping American trucks artificially expensive, ensuring you have no choice but to sign a massive loan for a vehicle you don't actually need. The trap was set in 1962, and it started over frozen poultry. West Germany decided to place steep tariffs on American frozen chickens. To retaliate, President Lyndon Johnson slapped a harsh 25% import tariff on a short list of European goods. Included on that list were light commercial trucks, with the original target being the Volkswagen Transporter. But the United Auto Workers saw an opening. They lobbied hard to keep light trucks on that retaliation list to protect Detroit from overseas competition. The lobbying worked perfectly. Suddenly, Detroit had zero international competition at the affordable end of the market. And 61 years later, that temporary revenge tariff, famously called the chicken tax, has never been repealed. If we look at this calculation, the mathematical damage is immediate. You take a $15,000 imported work truck, slap a 25% tax on it, and you add nearly $4,000 to the sticker price before the tires even touch American soil. The price advantage is instantly destroyed. The chicken tax gave Detroit a completely captive market. By walling off cheap foreign competition, American automakers were able to permanently raise the pricing floor of the domestic pickup. But a tax alone didn't force automakers to build the $80,000 megatrucks we see today. To eradicate the compact truck entirely, the government had to make a massive regulatory mistake. This blueprint diagram shows how the government's corporate average fuel economy, or CAFE standards, function. Washington introduced these targets to force automakers to build efficient vehicles, but they tied the emissions target directly to the vehicle's physical footprint. Notice what happens to the math when automakers exploit this loophole. By simply stretching the chassis and making the truck massive, it gets legally classified as a heavy-duty vehicle. The strict emission standard drops instantly. The larger the truck, the looser the rule. Detroit looked at this math and made a ruthless financial decision. Engineering a genuinely efficient, clean, small engine for a compact truck cost a fortune in research and development. Stretching a frame and building a massive truck to bypass the regulations was incredibly cheap and yielded massive profit margins. The immediate casualty of this loophole was the American small truck. Legendary, affordable rigs like the original Chevy S10 and the Ford Ranger completely vanished from dealership lots. When mid-sized trucks finally returned years later, they were unrecognizable, heavily bloated, packed with complicated digital screens, and thousands of dollars more expensive. Government footprint math effectively mandated the shift toward massive vehicles, leaving Detroit with high-margin behemoths as the only rational business choice. Despite the regulatory lockdown on new imports, master mechanics have found exactly one legal crack in the federal firewall to bypass both the chicken tax and the EPA regulations. It is called the 25-year import rule. Federal law dictates that any vehicle at least 25 years old is instantly exempt from all modern American safety and emission standards. Because of this single loophole, clean 30-year-old vintage trucks like the 1994 Toyota Hilux are currently flooding American auction blocks, commanding absolute premium prices. Buyers are aggressively hoarding these aging imports because they finally understand the scam. They refuse to pay an $80,000 ransom for a massive, disposable new vehicle when they can buy an indestructible analog tool for a fraction of the cost. A trade dispute from 1963 and a broken EPA footprint loophole effectively removed the affordable work truck from the American market. Detroit has been branding this regulatory landscape as consumer preference ever since. Buying a modern truck now involves risks beyond the price. Recent models integrate telematics that monitor driving habits and new requirements for remote engine shutoffs. To see how to legally bypass the 2026 digital surveillance trap and find the exact analog trucks you need to hoard right now, click the video on your screen.